Welcome to the Sanity Project podcast, where you can awaken your mind to clarity and success even in today's life challenges. We're here to provide insights and solutions that will help you live a sane, healthy, and prosperous life. Here's your host, Joanne Victoria.
Hello, everybody. This is Joanne Victoria with another amazing episode of the Sanity Project podcast. You are here to discover a life of clarity, confidence, sanity, and entrepreneurial success. Our guest today is Frank Zaccari. Frank Zaccari has written 8 books, people. His most recent is a series named Business and Personal Secrets. The first one was Secrets for Walking on Water. The second one for Secrets for Avoiding Relationship Landmines. And the third one, which we'll focus on today, is Secrets for Getting Unstuck, because everybody gets stuck somewhere. Frank Zaccari is a business advisor, TV show host, best-selling author, speaker, and has been in the military and has his education from UCLA and has experienced pretty much a lot on the West Coast, even though he comes from the East Coast, same as I did. Mm-hmm. So we can talk about getting unstuck, Frank. Tell us the success of this book first with Amazon.
Well, thank you, Joanne. It's always a pleasure interacting with you. And thank you for the very gracious book review that you did on this book, Getting Unstuck. The book was released on May 10th, I believe, and it hit bestseller on May 10th at 11:30 California time. So of the 3 books in the series, all 3 reached number 1 bestseller in one day, which is kind of overwhelming when you're not Simon Sinek or a big time author like that. So I'm overwhelmed with all the support and the love that the people have shown. But it came in a series, Joanne. The Business Secrets for Walking on Water was 35 years as a business owner or a corporate executive. And these are some of the things that you're going to run into. And what usually sinks most organizations is not what they know, it's what they don't know. It's what they don't see coming. It's what they're not prepared for. So that one came out first, and it did very, very well. And the feedback we got was, well, Frank, I do well in my business life, but my personal life really flounders. And I said, well, that's my life too. My personal life has not been the greatest in the world either. So we came out with a second book about avoiding relationship landmines. And these are things that focus more, did some business side, but more on the personal side, things that you have to balance, because when one side of your life, if the professional side is going terrible, it's going to bleed into your personal life. And the same the other way around. If both are not in sync, you're going to have problems. And it's just the way it is. Now, when I came up, being my age, was basically we were told, focus on your professional life. Do that. Get promoted. Get this. Do that. And everything will be good. You provide for your family. And then everything on your personal side will fall into place. Okay, now that's probably the second biggest lie I've ever been told in my life.
Yeah, it's just backwards.
Exactly. So my personal life had a lot of ups and downs, and professionally I did very, very well. The ironic thing was at the peak of my professional success, I was a CEO of 2 organizations up in Seattle, where you now live. And I had taken over one, and I spun a second company out. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I made it. I'm CEO of 2 businesses.
Yahoo!
And I'm going to plant my flag on the top of the mountain. And I turn around, and my wife said she'd pretty much had enough.
So, I'm sorry to laugh, but it happens all the time.
Yep, yeah, it does. And I had custody of my 2 young daughters, so that pretty much ended the high-tech life, because I traveled all the time. Oh. So it was, now how do you avoid those landmines? What are the things that you need to be aware of in your life to make sure that you're not putting too much energy into one sector and ignoring the other side? And that happened. I saw that happen so many times in people my age and my generation growing up. The last book, the one that just came out, Getting Unstuck, was simply, no matter how good your life is, how well you're balancing the professional and the personal side, you're going to get stuck at some point. Getting stuck is inevitable. Staying stuck is a choice.
I totally agree. People who are listening, you have to understand this. If you are a newbie in starting your business, even if you're experienced out there, whenever you get to a roadblock, which is stuck, you have to do something about it. First, you have to recognize that you're stuck. How do people recognize, what does stuck look like?
What stuck looks like is, the way I defined it is, I'm not sure where to go. I'm not sure what to do. And I'm floundering. I'm reaching and I'm throwing stuff against the wall, but nothing's sticking. And it's a terrible feeling because it's a feeling like this is all it's going to ever be. I can't get out of this. That's, to me, is getting stuck. Now, once you're stuck, the key is, have you developed the ability to ask for and accept help from someone who can actually help? Because everybody on the planet has an opinion, and no matter what it is, they're going to tell you, oh no, you need to do this, or you should do that, and of course they've never done it, but they're an expert. It's like the best parents in the world are people who have no children because they know all the answers, right?
Yes.
But you have to be able to go to people and have a community of people that you can go to who have been where you want to be, not where you currently are. And I see that all the time, Joanne. People surround themselves with clones of themselves. Same school, same background, same clubs, same social circle. And then when something comes up and it's new and now they're stuck, how do I get over this hurdle? In the tech world, we would call it crossing the chasm. So you got this far with the people who are the early adapters. Now I got to get over to the mainstream. How do I get over that? How do I do that? Right? And so they look around because they surround themselves with clones. The clones don't have the answers either because they've never been there. They've never done this before. So it's getting a circle of advisors who have been where you want to be. They've already done this. They've already achieved this. It's like when you're writing a book and trying to publish a book. Everybody on the planet has an opinion. Oh, you should have a watch party. Oh, you should do this, or you should do that. And I sit there and I listened to all this when I started to write again. And it was, okay, well, how many have you done? Well, I haven't done any, but I know someone or I heard something. Okay. It gets to the point where you say, yeah, there's a lot of people who know someone or who have heard, who think or who believe, but have they done it?
Yeah, it's always important, no matter what your next adventure might be, starting a new business, scaling an older business, writing a book, that you talk with people who have experienced the same thing. Not just that everybody's, not because, I read another book and I know nothing, but I'm going to tell you how to do it. They need to find people with experience.
Exactly. And it happens so often, time after time after time. I'm an advisor. I'm a mentor and a judge with the University of California Entrepreneurship Academy. So the 10 big research universities in California have this academy, right? And so when they contacted me out of University of California, Davis, and I went in to see them, and I said, so what can I do for you? And he says, well, Frank, we have 19,224 patents and licenses. And I said, okay, so why am I here? And he said, well, 60% of our revenue comes from 5. And I said, 5%, right? And he goes, no, 5 total patents generate 60% of our revenue. And I said, well, that's not good. What do you attribute that to? And so he comes out and he says, well, we're the major research universities in the world. And the number one answer, Joanne, I didn't want to laugh in the room, but the number one answer was no market need.
Oh.
And so very nicely, no market need is a nice way to say you didn't pass the who cares test.
Yes, that big one. It's like no matter what we do, Joanne is going to write another book. Who cares?
Exactly. And then they had other reasons. Not enough money, wrong team, blah, blah, blah. So they came up with 5 reasons. And I said to them, I was in the military, right? So in the military, before you insult anybody, you have to say, with all due respect, right? So I looked at these professors and I said, well, ladies and gentlemen, with all due respect, let's add a 6th reason to that. That 6th reason would be they don't know what they don't know, and they don't know where to go to find out what they don't know. And they didn't take that very well. And it's, well, we're professors. We know this. And I said, have you done it? Have you done it? Have you scaled a company? Have you brought a company to market? Have you gone through the crises that are going to happen? And one of them said to me, well, Frank, some of these crises, nobody could anticipate this. No one knew COVID was going to come. And I said, sure, no one knew it was going to COVID specifically, but you knew there's going to be a crisis.
There's always a crisis. Yeah.
Always.
There's always a crisis.
Exactly. And so you can't throw up your hands and say, well, no one expected this. It's now part and parcel of life. And that's where a lot of people get stuck is, well, everybody's a good business owner or a good leader when things are going well. Everybody is. What happens when the tide turns or competition comes in or a crisis occurs? Now you're stuck and you've put yourself in a position because we established, and I hate the term best practice. It drives me absolutely crazy, Joanne. But I've said, this is our best practice and it worked for us before and we're going to stick with it because, damn it, that's how we've always done it. And you and I both know that the cemeteries, business cemeteries, are littered with people who stayed married to their best practice all the way to extinction.
Talk about being stuck. Talk about being stuck. Best practice is the highest form of stuckness.
Exactly. Mark O'Brien, who's a friend of ours, he wrote the foreword to the book, and he and I were talking about it, and he said, Frank, best practice, we've always done it this way. This is the way I am, and it is what it is. He says, that's it. That's just simply saying, I give up. I can't do any better than this. And this is all there is, right? And I see that all the time when I'm advising businesses. You advise a lot of businesses too. And you look at it and say, all life is, and all business is a constant set of adjustments and modifications and fine tuning. And if you don't, you're going to get stuck. You're going to get into the quicksand, and you're not going to be able to get out because it worked before. Well, guess what? New world, new competition. It doesn't work now.
Now, people are going to be using COVID, I figure, for at least 5 years, maybe up to 10 years, for all of the failures in the world. Oh, I couldn't do that because of COVID. I couldn't do that because of COVID. Oh, the world is against me because of COVID. And people are using it as an excuse. It's just another way of saying best practice. It's just a substitute stuckness issue.
You're exactly right. And one of the things that in the COVID crisis, I do a workshop at Arizona State University, and one of the things that came in the COVID world was these young people who are actually employed now. So we're saying, I don't need to go into the office. I'm more productive now working from home because I don't have to sit there and when the phones are slow or dead or whatever, and just have to sit there and wait and watch. Now I can go get something to eat. Parents are saying I take my kids to their doctor's appointment. It doesn't matter what it is. Does the work get done? Are the results there? I interviewed the CEO of Siemens, and he said, the thing we're going to have to do is, and I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember the exact quote. He said, the thing we're going to do is, I don't care if people ever show up in the office. It doesn't matter how many hours they spend sitting at their desk. What matters is, are we getting results? If you can get the job done in 2.5 hours, that's great. That's what we need to focus on, instead of making people get stuck in a business or in a culture. And that was one of the things we put in that book is people get stuck at work a lot because of the culture that they're in. And it's this overbearing, you have to be here and I have to see you doing the actual work kind of a mindset, which leads to a toxic workplace. Why are so many people leaving their jobs? They're leaving them at record levels because they don't like the culture. Okay. They might like the job, but they don't like the culture. They're not going to put up with it anymore because they've seen, I can be productive. I can work from home and I'm better. And I'm going to set my own path now. And we see that happening all the time. And I applaud it. Number one, I had some business owners tell me, what are you, nuts? He said, it was hard enough getting the loyal employees. Now with this, now they think they're empowered. And I went, they are empowered.
They are.
They absolutely are empowered. And if you're not providing the environment that they want and they like, they're not going to stick around.
Well, the thing of it is, too, the companies want people back in the office because they have to substantiate the need for management. How many managers exist in any company? And I'm not talking about the owner of the company. I'm talking about a departmental manager, a line manager, whatever the title might be. They have no use for managers anymore.
It's a very interesting statement. What I think managers are the term is better, enablers. People who enabled organizations to move forward, and they don't have to be sitting in front of you. You, as a manager, or a term I like, again, the enabler, you've got to be able to identify the strengths of the individuals and put a team together. Okay, and a team, which most people still don't quite understand, is a whole bunch of different skill sets, and you put them together. And then what this individual does well, this other individual here isn't very good at that area. So that's a collaboration that occurs, and managers have to be that enabler to make sure that they're getting the right people in the right place at the right time to do the right thing.
Well, it's like having a baseball team or a football team. I mean, everybody's got different, skills to bring to the table.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know enough about either of those sports to make anything more than a general observation, but I don't think you can be a third baseman and, be a catcher as well. So all of these things have to be understood and clear, but people are going, my feeling is that there's going to be a balance in that, over the next couple of years. Right now it's an extreme. Everybody's acting out, it's like a bunch of preschoolers, and they're just, stamping their feet and saying, I've got rights. I can do anything I want to do. Sure, you can in a free world if somebody's not relying on you to be there so you can earn your paycheck. And, if people are getting empowered, fine. If they want to leave and start their own business, fine. But they're going to repeat those things when they start their own business.
Exactly. And part of it, I interviewed Professor Edward Hess, who's a futurist from the University of Virginia. And one of the things he was saying is that he's the one who used that enabler term first. And he said, the way we bring people into organizations have to change. And this is where leadership and management is going to have to make a massive change, is stop putting job descriptions down with the skill set that somebody's supposed to have. You have to know Word, or you have to know Salesforce, or you have to know whatever. And he said, you can teach them that. You can teach them that once they get there. What we should be looking for, and Dr. Angela Duckworth wrote this in her book, Grit, is people who have persistence, and people who can overcome, and people who have integrity, and people who are determined, and people that are willing to work and collaborate together. That's what you want to bring in as a character trait, and then teach them the skill set. Because the character trait is inherent. It's inherent to an individual. Now, the Army, West Point, I want to talk about being stuck. Mm-hmm. West Point had this program where they're going to go out and recruit the best of the best of the best, right? And so they started looking at kids at eighth grade. And so they're tracking them, and then they tend to be the valedictorian, the king of the prom, the captain of the football team, the whole thing, all that kind of stuff. And so that's what they want, right? So they bring them in, and they had an astronomically high dropout rate, something in the neighborhood of 26, 28%. I forget the exact number, and I apologize to Dr. Duckworth, but very high failure ratio. So it takes 2 years to get the application through. You get in, and a lot of these people drop out in what they call the hell period, hell week, which is when you first get there. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they bring her in. She says, well, look, guys, the people you're recruiting are never had adversity. Everything came easy to them. They were people that everything was basic, not handed to them, but it came very simple. They never had to really struggle, and they never had to put in the extra work or the extra time or the extra energy. And now they can't handle it because they're failing and they're not being able to keep up. And that is something that they're not prepared for because they never had to deal with it growing up. And so the Army was going, oh my God, and our practice is floundering. So they changed the model. They finally listened to somebody, Dr. Duckworth. They changed the model, going with a grit model. So it was grit and persistency, 2 sets of questions. And they tried that. And they did that for a couple of recruitment periods. And their rate dropped from something in the neighborhood of 26% to like 2%. Mm-hmm. And they looked at it and said, well, what happened here? And so what happened is now you're getting the grinders, the people who had to work, that it didn't always come easy, that had to find ways around obstacles, that had to work through things. And the same thing with the Navy SEALs. I heard an interview, Simon Sinek was talking about this, of being stuck in the Navy SEALs. And he said, well, what makes a SEAL? What's the characteristic? Who makes it? And the gentleman said, the SEAL commander said, well, I don't know who makes it, but I'll tell you who doesn't make it. Who doesn't make it is the bodybuilder who's always looking in the mirror, the person who was a high achiever but had everybody else do his work for him and took credit, and the one who is all about me. Look at me. They don't make it. And he said, the best of the best in the way the model used to be is right school, tall, good looking, smart, the right degree, in the right place. That's not the case.
Not anymore in anything.
Exactly.
Not anymore in anything. And the situation is you and a few other people have put words to this debacle and have made it valuable, because they've always looking, as you say, the prettiest, the coolest, the head cheerleader and the quarterback style. Everybody should know what that is. And if they don't, they need to read a book.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because this is what the problem is. Mr. Cool, let's hire Mr. Cool and Ms. Cool. They don't want to work. That's
exactly right. And they've never been pushed or challenged. And so when that first obstacle comes to bear, and that's all business is you and people tell me, well, our business plan was X. I said, yeah, well, plan is a guideline. Okay. Mike Tyson, everybody's got a plan to get punched in the mouth. Yeah, well, you put a plan together and then life happens and then the world happens. And now you have to adjust and make a modification or say, oh, okay, well, we need to fine tune this a little bit. You don't throw the whole plan and the whole vision away, but you make adjustments along the way. And that's what differentiates the good from the great. And that's what that's what gets you unstuck, because you're going to get stuck. It just is going to happen at some point. Mel Robbins, who I interviewed on my radio show before I moved to TV, she said, she had a great line, Joanne, and she said, we're all stuck in some area of life pretending that it's not that bad so that we can justify doing nothing.
Oh, God.
And she said, ironically, the more trapped you feel in your life, the more you'll convince yourself it's really not that bad.
Oh, God. I hate that accommodating stuff. No. Learn to adapt. It's basically, you have your 360-degree circle, and you can go a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, make a leap more than that. You need to do something. You need to get off your position of being right. It's okay. It's good enough. I'll take it. No. Okay, so as I usually tell my audience, every time I record a podcast, re-listen to this podcast. Get out your pad and paper and re-listen to this podcast, because you're probably listening to it while you're driving or while you're exercising. So you need to sit down with a yellow pad, not your computer, not a Word document. I want to use your hand to paper, pen to paper, and take notes, because there's a lot of interesting things here that Frank Zaccari has shared with you. So, Frank, what do you want our audience to help you with?
What I would want is the opportunity in your business, when you're feeling you've plateaued, or when you're feeling you need, and I hate the word pivot. I can't stand the word pivot. If you feel you need a dynamic change, call me. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it. And let's see what new ideas or what new things we can do to get you unstuck. That's the first thing. I am looking for a number of speaking engagements since the 3 books have come out. I've had probably 3 this year. Now that we can go physically go do things again. So if you need a keynote speaker and you need to understand how to walk on water or what the secrets are for walking on water, I'm available to do that. And what we're offering to everyone who's listening to this is at my website, which is very simple, frankzaccari.com. We're offering all the books, all 3 books, at a discounted price that less than you could buy them at Amazon, and we'll sign them and send them to you.
That's Frank Zaccari, FrankZaccari.com.
Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes I feel the need to spell words because you never know. So go to his website, look at all the deals there, and make a decision about contacting Frank, because he will. It's probably easier West Coast, yes? Does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter at all.
Okay.
I've done it on the east, the west, internationally. It doesn't matter.
Okay. So what Frank has learned, certainly with his most recent books, the series, Business and Personal Secrets, Book 1, Secrets for Walking on Water, Book 2, Secrets for Avoiding Relationship Landmines, and Book 3, Secrets for Getting Unstuck, would be the core of any presentation that he has for your organization. I want to thank Frank Zaccari for being here today. There's so much information that he has in his books. There's no way we can get it to you in less than half an hour. So do your best, get the books, read the books, call up Frank, say hi, and tell him where you heard about him. Say, I heard you on the podcast with Joanne Victoria, and aren't we all happy today? Mm-hmm. So everybody have a great rest of your day. Take care and enjoy and get unstuck.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Sanity Project podcast. Please go to AskJoanneVictoria.com to listen to more podcasts. Check out Joanne's coaching programs and get a free copy of her report, 5 Steps to Achieve Life-Work Harmony. That's AskJoanneVictoria.com. Take care, and thanks for being here.